Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, it's actually our first time actually seeing each other.
Which is strange because we've talked and I feel like I know you already. But yeah, believe it or not, this is the first time we've ever seen each other in person.
It's the first time. And I want to tell you that I'm grateful and blessed to be able to sit here today with you and to have met you today. I do feel like that we have forged a bond.
Absolutely.
Since I came home from Pensacola on May the 28th.
Absolutely.
And I was so looking forward to this interview. We do this every day. We've been doing television since 2013. But this is one of the most important interviews that I will have done.
Well, I appreciate that.
And that's because it affects so many people in our country right now.
I do think that it'll probably reach a lot of people, probably even beyond what you even think.
Yes.
I think because, we've talked about this before. There's so many people that are affected, whether it's you directly or it's your family members or whoever would be involved. I think this is going to reach far and wide, I believe. I
agree. And, when I turned myself in to self-surrender to FPC Pensacola in January 17th of 2023, and was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And now I look at where I am today, and I'm experiencing a Joseph moment in my life, because on May the 27th of this year, I went to bed in a bunk bed at your facility there in Pensacola. On May the 28th, I was in my bed again. And then a week later, I was on the phone with governors from so many different states reaching out to me and talking to me.
Yeah.
Then today, I'm sitting here having an interview with the director of the Bureau of Prisons.
Yeah.
That's a full circle Joseph moment.
You said on January 17th, 2023, you turned yourself in. January 19th, 2023, I became the commissioner in West Virginia. So you think about the parallels we've talked about and how we've ended up kind of in the same spot I don't think it's by chance. I think it's obviously a bigger calling, bigger power. You went from being
an
incarcerated situation, an inmate, to being in your bed, just in a matter of moments. And I heard Julie say she never planned on being home.
Right.
Like she figured she was going to do her entire sentence.
Right.
So one of the first things that I remember asking you when we talked was, how are you? Because you were trying to take care of everybody else. You were trying to work towards making sure everybody else was covered and taken care of. I just wondered who had asked you.
Right. And I remember that.
You were.
I remember that day when you said, you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
You're on the phone with us every day trying to help this guy and this guy.
But you're not a guy that's supposed to slow down. You're like me. Like my wife will tell you. And if I'm idle, I'm not very good.
No.
I can go on vacation for a couple of days and sit on the beach. After that, I'm looking for something to do.
I got to have something to do. That's right.
So I knew the pace that you were keeping up when you first left, being incarcerated. And I'm not concerned about you not being able to keep that pace up, because that's who you are.
Right.
And that's who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that for me, this is a very powerful moment because, again, being incarcerated, the men, I call them my brothers that I was there with, you sit around and you're hoping, when there's legislative change and things are happening and sentencing commissions are meeting, and you're sitting there saying, well, maybe there's going to be something new come down the pike. And, you had your former commissioner, Colette Peters. I didn't have a lot of respect for Colette Peters. When you have a director that goes out into a facility that she knows that women have been raped and in the custody of the Bureau of Prisons. And I asked, do you feel you owe these women an apology? And she said, no. Now you're here. That's not something that I believe would ever come from you.
There's things that happen in corrections that are inherent, right? And there's a lot of reasons why I'm here, right? There's a lot of different reasons. We have a responsibility, and I see it as a responsibility and obligation to make sure everybody's incarcerated has the opportunity to get their life back, have their opportunity to, when they leave incarceration, that they're trained properly, they have the right education, right vocation, whatever it might be. But we have an obligation to do that for them. We talk about, and I think corrections as a whole has been kind of painted into this corner that we are responsible for punishing the inmates.
Yes.
And I've heard you talk about it. I feel the same way. The punishment is the fact that you're there. The punishment, the fact is that your movements are restricted. You've got very little control of your own life. That's your punishment. We are not in the punishment business. And I didn't always feel like that.
Right.
For 25 years, I was what I was a state police robot. I received a case, an investigation. I worked it. I put the person responsible in jail for it or prison. I went on to the next one, never really thinking about the other side of
long-term
that.
effect.
Yeah, never really think. Just making sure I had the right person, because that's a burden, of course. But making sure that they were put in there, and then thinking you knew what went on in there, but really had no idea. And so I have a responsibility to make sure that our staff have what they need, but also the inmates have what they need. It's on both sides.
That's right.
Yeah.
As sitting there, talking to each other, you're hopeful that this new administration is going to do different. It's that things will get better. And I remember praying for you and praying for Josh be appointed. And because I felt in my spirit that change was coming. And I remember when the appointments came through, I had such a peace. I have to say that it's only gotten better because now I'm out. Now you know that I will blow you up on the phone, because it's my goal to make sure that the Bureau of Prisons is following the law, that they are following your own rules and your own guidelines.
Sure.
And to make sure that the men and women are getting the FSA that they're supposed to be getting, that President Trump implemented in 2018.
Right.
And that is something that you and I have been very vocal about, that the FSA must be implemented correctly. I get hundreds of calls or messages a day. Todd, do you really think this Director Marshall is going to be the one? And I said, the one for what? He's the one of something. The one of what? What do you want him to be that one for?
A lot of levels of expectations. Yeah, really.
No, I want them to, because I want to know, what one thing do they want from you? Bill, the one thing they want from you is fairness.
Sure.
Bill, when you took this position with the Bureau of Prisons, you had been with the
West Virginia State Police.
State Police.
Yeah, and then I went from there into sort of a corrections role. I went into the CID unit that I helped stand up, the Criminal Investigation Division for Military Affairs at that time, which covered the state police, corrections, and so forth. So it gave me an opportunity to do investigations and conduct and coordinate investigations inside the prisons and jails. And right away, I realized that you know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I went in with an open mind. There was a lot of really talented experienced corrections people that were there that took me under their wing for whatever reason and said, hey, this is the way things are. This is the way they could be. And then I kind of took those two things together and kind of made it what I thought it should be. We talked about me getting this position. I wasn't really looking for a job. I hadn't been confirmed just yet by the new governor that had taken over in West Virginia. And I told my wife all along, I consider myself a huge underdog to get this job. And so I didn't really put a lot of pressure on myself. I just continued to be myself. And one thing about positions like this that I've continued to ascend to is that I've not allowed them to change me.
Right.
Not allowed to change who I am.
I've seen that in the short time that I've known you.
Yeah. So I'm going to be using the same philosophies. I call it the pragmatic approach, the common sense type approach. And I was really curious to see if I could use what I used with the West Virginia DCR, if those techniques, those styles, those approaches would work at this level. Really all it is just more inmates and more people. We're in the people business.
Right.
I talked about the inmates and the staff. We're not in what I consider corrections business. We're in people business.
That's right.
I don't ever like to build our success off of the number of staff we have or the amount of money we have, because I think you get yourself in a strange mindset that, well, if I don't have the money, I can't be successful. If I don't have enough people, I can't be successful. I mean, it's a business to where you have to be successful irregardless. I say it over and over. We don't have the option of putting no vacancy signs.
That's right.
At the gate.
That's right.
We have to complete the mission.
That's right.
We have to take them. We have to complete the mission, irregardless of what our numbers are.
That's right.
And so I've always taken that approach, and I was excited to see they worked because it made sense to people. Simply doing the right thing makes sense to people. We can't keep doing the same old thing. I have to know what those things are
right.
in order to fix those things, because I say you have to have awareness if you're going to have change.
That's right.
You have to be aware of what the situation is. So I challenged the BOP employees that were here and to bring me what you think needs to be changed, but also bring me a fix, bring me a solution, because then we can work with that. And it takes time. I've been here about 4 months and I'm learning stuff every day. And I think it's important that I continue to be a student.
I don't know about you, but sometimes do you get frustrated with your makeup in general? It doesn't look natural. It feels like a mask or feels heavy. Makeup routines can be too involved and have too many steps and take forever to do. And if you're unsure of the best way to do your makeup and you feel like it never looks good, well, let me tell you something. Jones Road Beauty is a minimalist makeup brand founded by makeup artist Bobby Brown that creates versatile and easy to use products that simplify your routine. Clean makeup that actually performs. Jones Road products enhance what makes you you rather than covering up. They create that effortless, natural, no makeup look. And their best seller is Miracle Balm, which I absolutely love. It's the ultimate makeup skincare hybrid product that gives you that natural glow. It's a true multitasker. It can be used as a tint, a blush, a bronzer, a highlight, or on the lips. It will replace almost all the products in your makeup bag. It gives you that your skin but better glow in under 60 seconds. Jones Road also has a full lineup of effortless skin first staples, just like their Just Enough tinted moisturizer, a lightweight formula that smooths an even skin tone with a soft touch of coverage, hides redness, looks natural, and feels like nothing on your skin. It's also packed with skin-friendly ingredients to keep your skin moisturized without clogging pores. Modern day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, our listeners are getting a free cool gloss on their first purchase when you use code Chrisley at checkout. Just head to jonesroadbeauty.com and use code Chrisley at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Have you ever left a doctor's appointment feeling like you completely just wasted your time and got nothing useful? Maybe they said you're fine or told you just to drink more water. No real data, no game plan, just a pat on the back. Well, it's definitely happened to me. And that's why I have loved Superpower. Superpower sends a licensed professional to your home or you can visit a nearby lab. It's one simple blood draw with over 100 biomarkers, way more than you'd usually get, which unlocks so much more about your own body. Their app includes detailed information on your heart, liver, thyroid, hormones, metabolism, vitamin and mineral levels, and even environmental toxins. So from disease prevention to treating that annoying brain fog or simply optimizing your gym game, Superpower is the most comprehensive and advanced system out there. You know, I'm constantly worried about what supplements should I take or how much sleep do I need or what should I focus my diet on. I'm so excited to tell you that Superpower's actionable health plan is based on your results. They give you supplement suggestions, nutritional guidance, lifestyle and behavioral adjustments, and you can even get your true biological age that you can track over time. Superpower not only gives you an initial plan, but it tracks your results over your lifetime. Each test builds on the last, giving you a full picture of your progress year after year. Stop only reacting to health problems and start proactively improving your health based on real personalized data. Superpower used to cost $4.99, but right now it's just $199 for the full experience. It's more affordable than anything else out there. Other testing services charge $500 or even $1,000, sometimes even more for similar or less. Know your numbers with Superpower. Head to superpower.com to learn more and lock in the special $199 price here while it lasts. After you sign up, they'll ask how you heard about them. Please make sure to mention this podcast, Chrisley Confessions 2.0, to support our show. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower.
You've had less time with the Bureau of Prisons than I have. So I am the senior here when it comes to, 28 months of it. What I see in the Bureau of Prisons that I believe that you're already working on, certainly the FSA is one of the number one things.
It has to work the way it was intended to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also rooting out corruption within the Bureau of Prisons. Yeah. You just said it's not your job, nor anyone within the Bureau of Prisons, to punish any man or woman that is in your custody. Correct. The judge has already done that.
Correct.
The punishment is you being away from your loved ones, limited movements, being told as an adult what you can and cannot do.
Right.
What has to be fixed is we have to be able to do all of this in a manner that is long-lasting, that it survives President Trump's term now, that it goes another 4 years, not just these 4 years. And it has to be policy-driven. We have to put these things into policy, because I think what we have seen in these past elections is that, it becomes so volatile between candidates that, okay, well, this one's going to run on this platform and they're going to change this and change this. Yeah. And then someone else comes in 4 years later. No, not doing that. Just like what Biden did with FSA.
Just because it wasn't their idea.
Exactly. Yeah. And, whether you like President Trump or you don't, I do, for obvious reasons.
Well, let me be clear. I love the guy.
Exactly.
All right? So he's been great to me.
And he's been great to me and my family.
Yeah.
But, whether you like him or whether you don't, if you understand what the First Step Act stands for and what it means, then there's no way that the left and the right can't come together. That was the bill that was passed with bipartisan support.
Right.
So that means, for all of you that don't understand, that for the first time in a long time, both sides came together to create the First Step Act. And that helps to minimize someone who is in custody, their time being with you. For the lack of a better term, so we don't wear our welcome out with you. And that was not being administered under the Biden administration, even though Trump passed it in 2018. Now you've inherited this problem that you now know by looking at these case files that the FSA has not been administered correctly, resulting in people losing out on the amount of time that they have in halfway house.
Or even we're working towards home confinement as well. So both of those things matters, as far as your rehabilitation goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that in watching what you guys are doing, I'm actually seeing these things happen. I'm in direct communication with a lot of the RRMs, with the staff that works there, with inmates, and they're saying they're moving them out. And that's a wonderful thing, because I don't think that the general public understands that if you're in a camp, which I don't believe in camps, we've discussed this. If we're talking about a deficit and what it costs to run the Bureau of Prisons, you have a camp, they're not needed. If you can be in a camp, you can be in home confinement. If you're in home confinement, you're paying your own way. You're feeding yourself. You're putting a roof over your own head. You're working, you're paying taxes. That money can then be picked up from there and moved over to your older facilities to start doing repairs.
Contrary to most maybe popular belief, is we don't want to keep anybody longer than we have to. We spend over $20 million a day housing federal inmates every day. And when you talk about historically, corrections has always been underfunded, understaffed, right? It's just the nature of the business.
One of the most important aspects of government is underfunded.
Yes.
If we're going to sit and say that prison is about protecting society, but yet we fund it with less money.
Well, and that's what I love about President Donald J. Trump's initiative and the Big Beautiful Bill. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, they are so supportive of what I'm trying to do here at this bureau. The money that we've received from the Big Beautiful Bill, the money increase that we'll see in our regular budget. We want to be able to. We want people to get their lives back. We don't want them to be there longer than they have to. The more people that we can release back out into custody, a large percentage of those individuals are going to be our friends and neighbors again one of these days, right? They're going to be out there. So wouldn't you rather they be prepared when they go out, right? We've seen the responses that we get when someone gets released properly with an FSA credit or with a second chance credit or even, pardon or a furlough. We see the joy that these individuals have when they are able a chance to reunite with their families.
Right.
It's a huge deal. And so I always think that life's about helping people, right? And so I've been public service my whole life, essentially. Right. And so it's trying to get those individuals back with their families, mentally and physically healthy as we can get them back. So we don't see them again. And I think sometimes it gets lost in the data, the analytics, all this stuff. It's about people. There's a real person behind that number.
That's right.
And so that's what's important. It can't be lost.
That's right. And, when you talk about recidivism, we as a country incarcerate more individuals of our own people than anywhere else in the world. Yet we still have the highest recidivism rate. Just that statistic says that what we're doing is not working.
So I think the last probably, I'm going to say 10 to 12 years, I think this country mindset has shifted towards allowing inmates not to be put in there and the key thrown away.
That's right.
I think that mindset has changed. My wife, Jody, and I were watching a movie last night. I think the movie was at least 10 years old, maybe longer, maybe 12 years old. And they had, it was a comedy, and they'd referenced a First Step program, even then, prior to this legislation, this bill being introduced by President Trump. So that mindset was starting even back then. And, there was a time where I was, like I said, a state police robot. You put them in, you don't worry about it, you move on.
Right.
So different that I look back, I'm thinking, how was I so narrow-minded before about, the people that I was arresting, the people I was putting in jail and prison? Don't get me wrong, I had empathy. I had a heart for people.
Right.
I wanted to help people. Looking at it now, I'm like, these individuals, they're just like we are. They made a mistake. Some of them worse than others. And we have an opportunity here to help them, get their lives back.
Exactly. It's very clear by the grace of God go you and I.
Sure.
None of us knows what tomorrow is going to hold. But what I can tell you is that my brothers at FBC Pensacola, which this is a facility that we'll talk about in a few minutes, one that you have chosen to close, I used to sit and counsel so many and just have conversations with them. And I said, you are worthy. This one mistake does not define the rest of your life. Sure. This is one chapter of your life. Right. You've got so many more chapters to write.
And I can even say that individuals that are in our facilities for life, they still can have an impact. They can still have a role as a mentor for these individuals.
That's right.
Men and women. And so in order to make them realize that and give them that opportunity, yes, you will probably die with us, but you can still be impactful in this world by helping these individuals look at things differently, better, that are going to be being released. Like, you mentored a lot of these young individuals.
Yes.
I guarantee you that you've changed their lives. You've impacted their lives. And that's what I don't understand when we talk about the corruption that occurs in our facilities. Why would you not want to be the best part of their day, knowing that one day they're going to be able to get out and have their own life? And you don't want to be that influencer that kind of ruined their life or tried to make them, because they'll never forget how you treated them.
No.
They'll never forget it.
I raised my children with that people may forget your name, but they will not forget how you made them feel.
Sure. 100%.
And, I remember my first day there at Pensacola, and I was standing on the sidewalk just looking up at the sky thinking, God, where did I fail? I was so angry at God at that moment. And that one person that you remember was walking down the sidewalk, and it was Chaplain Angela Dixon. And she knew that I was upset, and she said, Mr. Chrisley, she says, let's go to the chapel. She was the chaplain there. And she saved me. She was that one person. So I will remember her forever because she was a good, decent, honest human being. And then I also have ones that I'm not going to get into, but I have ones that I will remember also forever.
Sure.
Where we are today in society, so many people are affected by our judicial system. That doesn't make them a horrible human being. It makes them someone who is a human being who's made a mistake,
Sure.
and hopefully they'll learn from that mistake. In this 28 months that I was in prison, I could have literally chosen to be angry and hate everyone around me. But God did not place that in my spirit.
But I don't feel that that's your nature, though. Anyway,
He didn't place it in my spirit. And we were talking about earlier when you said to Julie that Julie did not count on getting out early.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, I went in there that day and was planning on leaving the next day.
Yeah.
Every day I was leaving. So it was, Julie was another way of handling it. She had her time the way she had to. Every day I got up, I'm like, okay, I got to get up and get my hair fixed, get my clothes on because I'm leaving.
But life's about anticipation, right?
Absolutely.
And so you had to have that. Julie was focused on what she was instructed to do.
That's right.
She's a rule follower, right?
She's a
My wife's a rule follower,
Yes.
right? I'm not saying I'm not a rule follower, but I get a little bit to the edge sometimes when it comes to, ambitions and what I need to be doing. And so, but yeah, that's the mindset, but you have to have that anticipation.
That's right.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
We've all been there. Eating clean, taking your supplements, doing everything right, but your gut still feels off. Your energy's low, your skin's not glowing. So what's missing? In comes Cowboy Colostrum. Cowboy Colostrum takes a primal, whole body approach to wellness, natural, clean, and built to work with your body, not against it. Colostrum is often called liquid gold. It's the first nutrition we get at birth, packed with immune factors, growth compounds, and nutrients your body still craves today. Cowboy Colostrum uses only the highest quality colostrum, whole, first day milking, never stripped or overprocessed, and always ethically harvested after the calf gets their share. Here's how easy it is. Just mix it into your coffee, milk, or smoothie. I personally love the vanilla in a morning smoothie. It tastes amazing. And if you have more of a sweet tooth, the strawberry tastes just like a milkshake. People swear by it for gut health, hair growth, immunity, and recovery. And I've noticed a big difference in how I feel day to day. Unlike other brands, Cowboy Colostrum is never diluted, never spray dried, and always sourced from grass-fed cows on regenerative U.S. farms. No fillers, no junk, just the good stuff. Colostrum is the first milk mammals produce after giving birth. Think of it as nature's original superfood. It's loaded with nutrients, antibodies, and proteins that help build a strong immune system, boost gut health, and support overall wellness. Cowboy Colostrum stands out because it's small batch, grass-fed, and sourced from family-owned U.S. farms, never industrial operations. Unlike many colostrums that are overly processed or blended with fillers, Cowboy Colostrum keeps it clean. Low temp dried to preserve bioactives, third-party tested for purity, and always 100% colostrum. No whey, no junk, no shortcuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com and use code Chrisley at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code Chrisley at cowboycolostrum.com. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show, Chrisley Confessions 2.0, sent you. Okay, let's talk about something super important, your health. You want more energy, better focus, less stress. It all starts in your gut, because when your gut is out of whack, everything feels off. Your mood, your digestion, your sleep, everything. That's why we love Just Thrive Probiotic. Most probiotics never make it to your gut alive, but Just Thrive is clinically proven to arrive in your gut 100% alive and actually work. For you, that means less bloat, healthy immunity, and that steady feel-good energy to tackle your day. So here's our challenge for you. Just Thrive Probiotic for 90 days, 100% risk-free, and see how much better you feel. Don't just take our word for it. Take control of your gut and take control of everything else. You'll see. Head to justthrivehealth.com/confessions to save 20% off and start your 90-day Just Thrive challenge today. If you don't love the way you feel, ask for a full product refund, no questions asked, because when you fuel your gut, you fuel your life. That's justthrivehealth.com/confessions.
And I was speaking, this morning, with someone here at the BOP, that when we take hope from someone, when you strip hope out of someone's life,
It's the worst, yeah.
what do they have?
Yeah.
If you tell someone that, you're never getting out of prison. Yes, you were given 10 years and they're sitting here, but ma'am, the FSA says that I'm only going to do 48 to 52% of that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care. I don't want to hear that. You're doing your 10 years. You're stripping hope. When you say you can't have visitation this weekend, you're stripping hope.
True.
When you take phone privileges, you're stripping hope. When you take commissary, you're stripping hope. So I want to talk about that for a few minutes. What is your take on mass punishment?
When I first got here, I was really curious when I saw the lockdowns, the canceled visitation that we talked about, the limiting of commissary, things like that. And so I wanted to be made aware from the regional directors every time that happened. And I wanted to see why it was happening, what their mindset was, how long it was going to take. And very early on, I'm seeing okay, you had 2 inmates that had a fight in this section that had nothing to do with the other side of the building,
Right.
but the whole building was locked down. And what I found was, and it's kind of corrections in general, it makes things easier.
Right.
Because when everybody's locked down, there's no movement. It makes things easier for the staff. And then the excuse is, well, we don't have enough staff, so that makes it easier when we can do our jobs. And that just wasn't good enough. When you have people in the parking lot waiting to see their family members and they say, well, sorry, visitation's closed. We didn't have enough people show up today for well, that's probably a real situation, but that's not a good excuse to do that. We need to focus the resources to that area so they can have their visitation because
Right.
it's so important. I started getting notifications of all of those, and we still get them. We still work. Matter of fact,
Right.
I worked on a couple last night. We want to know, number one, why did we lock the facility down? And so it makes it easier. When you limit commissary, you don't have to have anybody there to
That's
handle
right.
it, right?
That's right.
When you limit all those things, it isolates everybody. You don't have as much work to do. We have to get away from that mindset, and
Right.
we are getting away from that mindset because I'll call. It's not beyond me to call regional director or
Right.
warden and say, "Hey,
I have seen
what's
this
up?
happen.
Yeah, what's up?" They may not even be doing something in their mind wrong. I'm giving them a different way to look at it, a different way to think about it. We had a murder. We had that thing wrapped up in a day and a half.
Right.
We're locking things down for a week because 2 guys got into a fight or somebody stole somebody's blanket.
Right.
So it's like we have to be more aware of what's going on. If you cancel visitation, you're going to have cranky inmates. You
Yes.
got cranky inmates, you got a cranky facility.
Yes.
You got a cranky facility, you got cranky staff.
That's right.
And it just resonates throughout the whole place. And then it ends up resonating throughout the whole bureau. And being forced to learn about those things, the operations of the facilities, the budgets, all these types of things. I like to say I've got a master's degree in BS, right? So I can read through it.
Well, I have that. I gained that from raising 5 children.
And you didn't even have to go to the interview and interrogation school to get it, right?
That's it.
So raising our 7 children is the same way. And they hate it because I know when they're lying. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know how far am I going to let them go down the road, right? I don't mind being called. My wife will tell you the phone rings all the time, and I'm always willing to take the call and find out what's going on. When I see directors, commissioners, so forth, put it on autopilot, rely too heavily on their staff, it's usually not a recipe for success.
That's right.
I pride myself in not being a micromanager. I want to empower our individuals that are in place.
Well, I think that we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then your take on it is that there is no room in the BOP for having mass punishment.
I don't see it as a solution to the problem. Now, if you have a fight on the yard where there's like a couple of
30
dozen,
people, and then
that's a different
that's
situation.
a different situation.
You have to break that all down. But we've gotten to where, because it's easier, we're locking these individuals down and taking, I think, what, in my opinion, too long to do an investigation or conduct an interview or something like that. But we know not all wardens are created equal.
No,
right?
they're not.
So it's like a coach of a team. You can start winning games overnight if you got the right coach in place. That's the way I look at these wardens.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do you acknowledge that in your time that you have been with the Bureau of Prisons that there are issues with the way the commissary is being?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's just become a mindset that we're punishing them for whatever.
Right.
I just don't. That's not my mindset, and that's not the bureau.
Well,
that
it shouldn't be. It's not the law.
Yeah,
It's not the law.
that's not the bureau that I'm going to be part of or I'm going to lead, and we're going to fix it. We're going to pivot and fix it.
I would rather see you make a mistake than to do nothing.
Doing nothing is not
An option.
It's not an option.
How do you feel when you hear that staff is not happy?
Are they really the kind of people we want anyway? One thing that they'll never be able to say about me is that I'm not honest and I'm not fair. When I approach something, I try to be thoughtful, empathetic. I try to understand there's a different perspective on things. There's a lot of jobs out there. I mean, they can go find something else to do, but I'm just not going to tolerate that. I can like you and still fire you.
That's
And so I just don't have that mindset to where I have any tolerance for someone who is going to purposely lie to me, purposely try to harm somebody, do something behind somebody's back. You get one opportunity for that.
Right.
You get one.
That's right.
And that's it.
And that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
A lot of staff members reach out to me. They reach out to Savannah. They're constantly delivering information to us about things that are going on in the facilities. I turn around and turn that back over to you guys. You start the investigations. You have found that some of this information that we've given you has has been true.
Actually, more so than not. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I feel like that we're on the right path.
Sure.
Because I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing the movement.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people being held accountable.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that since you've taken over, that just in the length of time that you've been here, that you can acknowledge that the Bureau of Prisons, that you've got your hands full?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, listen, I knew coming in that this was going to be a tremendous challenge, but I never once batted an eye to take on the challenge.
Right.
If I didn't have the support of my wife and kids and my family and the thought that I could do this job, I mean, as well or better than anybody that's ever had it, I wouldn't be here to address and fix and try to build. It excites me that I have a chance to build something with the support of the president, with the support of the AG, knowing that they're behind me 100%. Same thing I did back in my home state. I would have never been able to do what I've done had it not been for Governor Justice, now Senator Justice, his chief of staff, Brian Abraham. They were behind me 100%, and that's what I have here now.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got my hands full. I'm the guy for the job. I'm built for this.
Right.
And we're going to get a lot of things done here. I'm excited.
An issue that I feel like that needs to be addressed is these wardens, because these wardens, you know, it starts at the top. And if you have a warden that's being abusive, not following policy, that trickles down to the staff that's under them.
Absolutely.
You know, from an AW to a CMC, you know, it's just not a good look. And, you know, we've talked about you've got to take the head off the snake.
Right.
You know, you have these wardens that come in, and a lot of times these wardens are not of the same intellectual capacity as some of these inmates that they're there with. But they have this godlike complex. And it is, you know what? You didn't pick me when I was in the 10th grade for kickball, so now I've got that. I'm going to carry that through life.
Yeah, not everybody can handle authority.
Right. And so my warden, I would have never picked her then. I wouldn't pick her now.
Do you have kids, pets, a husband, or just chaos in general, constantly making a mess of your carpets or couches? The Green Mint Kit from Clean Safe Products is the easiest way to keep your fabrics looking brand new in 5 minutes or less. The process is simple. Spray the solution, wipe, rinse the mitt, and repeat. If you can clean a kitchen counter, you can clean your couch. It works on carpets, couches, car seats, wool rugs, delicate upholstery, even dry clean only materials. Avoid the nightmares of bleach spots or harsh chemical sprays in your living room. The Clean Mint Kit is non-toxic, fragrance-free, and made with just 3 ingredients. Because it's soap-free, there's no sticky residue, so stains don't magically reappear the next day. It's safe for kids, pets, and every soft surface you love. It removes the spots and the stress that comes with having nice things in a messy household, and it lasts forever. 1 bottle of concentrate makes up to 16 full-size bottles of the soft surface cleaner. Try it risk-free. Clean Safe Products offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. I absolutely love this product because it seems like no matter how hard you try, something always gets spilled on the carpet, on the sofa. So now you can go to cleansafeproducts.com/Chrisley to get $15 off the Green Mint Kit. That's cleansafeproducts.com/Chrisley for $15 off the world's easiest soft surface cleaning solution. Every hardworking American family deserves financial security, especially in today's uncertain economic climate. We're Todd and Julie Chrisley, and on Chrisley Confessions 2.0, we're all about family and future. Like you, we believe in protecting our legacy and preparing for tomorrow. That includes making smart choices about our finances. You've likely built your retirement on paper dollars, a currency that simply doesn't hold its value like it used to. Meanwhile, inflation quietly erodes your family's future with each passing day. But there's a time-tested way to protect what you've earned. Genesis Gold Group offers us the financial protection that forward-thinking Americans need today. They showed us how the current monetary system puts our hard-earned savings at risk, while physical gold has maintained value through every economic crisis in history. We're converting our retirement to physical gold because our family's security must be built on something real, something that can't be devalued by forces beyond our control control. Don't let another day pass without securing what you've worked so hard to build. Sensible families like ours are taking control of their financial future. Visit ChristleyLovesGold.com for your free Family Wealth Protection Gold Guide and join thousands of Americans who have protected their legacy with real assets. That's ChristleyLovesGold.com, where families preserve what matters most.
What are your plans for something like that?
So I use a lot of sports analogies, right? And you have to have the right coach. If you're going to win games and have the right culture, you have to have the right coach. When I first got here, first week or two, I was given a list of 25 or 30 warden vacancies that they had suggestions for that they wanted me to sign off on. And I'm like, I'm not going to sign off on that. And they looked at me like, well, that's the way it usually goes. And I'm like, well, that's not the way it goes now. Mm-hmm. I want to put these people in place with my vision in mind. And so that was a perfect opportunity for me. They looked at it like a negative. We got all these vacancies. Well, I look at it as a positive because I've got a chance to put the right person there, and I'm not going to try to, we're going to miss a couple, don't get me wrong, but that's an opportunity to get the right person in place to really impact that facility positively. So, and this is something that I just learned, through this process that really shocked me, that there's no interview process when it comes to wardens.
Just so that the general public knows, the warden
They're huge.
is like the person that controls every aspect of your life.
They have to be an extension of the director's office myself.
Yes.
They have to have that same mindset, that same vision, that same expectations, that same culture. And there was no interview process to have a warden put in place. Mm-hmm. It was heavily weighted on the regional directors and so forth. And so we recently have contracted with a firm that has met with me. I know this individual from previous work. I got a lot of confidence in her as well. And so she knows what I'm looking for when it comes to what I expect from a leader. I will go with the lesser talented person if they're a great person.
Right.
Give me character over talent.
Right.
Now, they got to have some talent.
Right.
But you give me character, and I can make them into anything that we need them to be.
That's
man
right.
or woman, right?
That's right.
So we started this process where they're going to start interviewing these candidates. And so they're going to give us...
Now, this is an outside agency.
It's an outside agency that we've contracted with. So they're going to give us the top 2 or 3 for each facility that would be a great fit for that facility through their interviews. And then ultimately, myself and Deputy Smith will make those decisions on who we believe needs to be there.
If you get a great warden and you get a great AW, the AW is going to mimic what the warden is wanting to implement.
Absolutely.
And if they'll run their jobs and not worry about offending another fellow coworker, stay within policy, you're treating people fairly, you're going to have a facility that is going to run that way.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, when you say AW, it's associate warden.
Right.
So that's the support staff underneath of the warden. But I've also had associate wardens reach out to me and say, our warden's got problems. We need some help.
Right.
So it's not like they always stay lockstep with one another. Even the ones that are in place are being evaluated as well. Just because you're in place now don't mean you're safe. All right.
Right.
You have to continue to do the job and continue to hold true to what our mission is. And so, but this is a great opportunity for us to put the right person in the right place. We have to have that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just came out in the press about 48 hours ago that I was there to speak for the graduation of the RDAP program, which I was invited to do this. I did not come to the BOP to ask this.
That's correct, yeah.
The staff there seems to be under the impression that I closed this facility.
Man, they're thinking a lot of you. You got a lot of power.
I have a lot of power.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you guys did your investigation, your due diligence of the facility, and you made an educated decision on why this facility no longer works.
Yeah, I mean, there was a much bigger picture than what you just stated. I mean, there was a huge infrastructure issue there. It's on a military base that was going to be decommissioned. The amount of money that it would have taken to get it to where we would expect it to be, the quality we would want it to be, it just didn't seem like the right place to spend money on. We received $2 billion from the Big Beautiful Bill for infrastructure. Mm-hmm. I don't want to waste even $100,000 of that money because it's one-time money. So that was a place where we just didn't see the need or the reason to put money into that facility, because I felt like it was just going to be what they call a money pit. You're a real estate guy, money pit, right?
Well, it came from Colette Peters. She listed it as being a facility that needed to be closed.
Yeah, and there was there's a list of facilities that were notified they were going to be closed or was on the closed list. Since I've come on board, there's a couple facilities like Morgantown and Duluth that I've decided to keep open because there's a bigger picture. I have a bigger vision for it.
Right.
Because we're talking about, when you're talking about home confinement, things like that, we're also talking about halfway house beds that we can maybe use the camps for, or even like a medical facility. Duluth is near 2 level 3 trauma units.
Right.
That's a big deal.
That's right.
Because we got an aging population.
Absolutely.
So those are bigger picture things for me. I don't like to do things like knee jerk. You know what I'm saying? I try to be very thoughtful in what we're doing going forward.
Well, going back there and speaking, Christy, who works with you here, I had shared with her that, I hope I will go and deliver a message that will be uplifting for the men that I left behind, and while at the same token, telling the truth. And I did that. And I feel good about what I did. I feel good about the speech. I feel good about that the way it was received by those that I cared to receive it.
I've got friends and family that'll say, so-and-so was blasting you on this platform, or so-and-so on TikTok or whatever. And I just have a genuine not care. I don't care, because I know who I am.
Right.
And I know who my wife is. I know what we stand for, how we live our lives every day. These couch warriors or these social media warriors, I mean, I
keyboard
really,
cowboys is what I call it.
Yeah, my son, Caden, he's ready to whip somebody over something somebody says. I'm like, I got temper them down a little bit, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't impact what I do, and it doesn't change who I am.
That's right.
And so whether you received all positive or all negative, if you gave that message, like I know you did, from the heart, honestly, if there's individuals there that don't want to hear that truth, then they probably shouldn't be there. I want you to have a facility where you're okay with anybody talking to me, inmate or employee, right?
It used to be one of the biggest pet peeves that I had was when your regional directors would come to Pensacola, but yet they would give them a week's notice, 2 weeks' notice. And all of a sudden you'd see this flurry of everyone cleaning and painting over the black mold and doing whatever. And that day they would serve those men the food they were supposed to be getting.
Yeah.
But the next day it was back to them not getting fed correctly. And I wanted to touch on that. What is your take on the nutrition values that these individuals are supposed to receive?
So we can always do better, I think. It's important to me, and I sent out a message a few days ago that if you're not willing to eat that food that you're handing out to our inmates,
don't feed it to someone else.
Don't serve it, right?
That's right.
And so when we go to the facilities, I've had meals at these facilities, and I'm sure they're probably a little bit different than what you're used to. But I'll ask the inmates, is this anything different than what you normally have? And most of the time I'll say no. But I want to see also, like, not for that week, but I want to see a pattern of what does the menus look like?
Right.
And did you actually get this that they served?
Right.
I've heard stories about, outdated ham and
9 years old,
frozen things. And even Deputy Smith told me they were served corn dogs from like the 1983 State Fair somewhere. Like they were like a dozen years old. I'm like, how do you eat that? And like, well, we didn't. We just went and I'm thinking that is no way is that right in any way whatsoever.
And when I was at Pensacola, I never had one meal in the chow hall.
Now I heard you say that. Yeah.
I never went in that chow hall and had one meal, only because it wasn't clean. The food was out of date. There was feral cats running throughout the campus, and they were always on those trays in the back. But the men had to eat.
I can see my wife back there cringing. She a cat on a countertop is just like, that's taboo.
No, I don't eat cat hair. It is a huge component of a human being's life. They start to take on that they're not worthy. Well, if I'm not worthy of a decent meal, I'm not worthy of a shower today. You strip them of their self-worth, and then you wonder why they go out here and they commit crimes again.
Well, because the decent meal, the decent nutrition, once again, is part of the rehabilitation, right? And so, and I think maybe as a whole, I think it's on the upswing now with the new administration in place with President Trump being aware of everything that is important to people. Even, my wife, the former school teacher, even the meals that they serve the kids at lunch in school system's not great like it used to be.
Right.
Like I remember having a great meal as a kid.
I did too when I was going to school.
We begged for seconds.
Yes.
I mean, it was a big deal.
Yes.
And I think even to that point, it's just gotten to where it's been reduced to where it's almost a joke to where, this is what they serve and, hard pizza and green hot dogs and that those types of stories. And so I think as a whole, we need to do a better job as a society, whether it's incarceration or whether it's in schools or whatever. They have to have a proper meal. If you have an inmate that's had a decent meal, they're going to feel better about themselves. And they're going to behave better, in regards to being around the staff or whatever. So it's important to me. We're going to start, and we've already started, making sure that the food's up to date, make sure we don't serve things that's not proper. I'm here to see what the culture is. I want to see how the inmates are. Are they being treated the right way? Do they have what they need? I want to see is the leadership, and do we have the right leadership at this facility? I can look at something and tell you just cleaned that up. I could tell. You know what I'm saying? And I'll point it out. So I'm not afraid to do that. Of course. Now, obviously, if it's dirty, I'm going to say, "Come on, guys." I mean, so I haven't experienced that just yet. But in the areas where I said I thought we could do better, I make sure we point that out. I'm going to back up just a little bit. You talk about the lockdowns. We're in the process of introducing tablets to the facilities to all the inmates. That way they can continue to have their vocation or education, so forth, if they do experience a lockdown. But the bigger component of that is they can also have video visits and calls on their tablets to their family. So that'll help them, reconnect and have that part of the rehabilitation. So there's a lot of things like that I'm looking at, that how can we improve not only the lives of the inmates, but the lives of the staff, make sure they have what they need.
What do you think your success rate's going to be in implementing a lot of these things that you're wanting to do?
But we're going to win it all. I mean, we're going to win everything.
Good.
I mean, I don't, there's nothing I'm going to say, I don't think we can get there. I have a list. I run a list of like what I know I can do, what I think I can do, and what I want to do.
Right.
And marking those things off as we go. I don't see any area of corrections, at least from where I'm sitting, that we can't accomplish and get things done.
How do you feel about the lack of medical care?
So we have a situation when it comes to staff, right? So we have to be able to compete with the private sector when it comes to medical care, when it comes to psychologists, psychiatrists. So we're losing a lot of those because we're not maybe as competitive as with salaries as the private sector, obviously. But we're also not letting them do the job we hired them to do also. We're making them into corrections officers, and they don't want to be corrections officers. They want to do the job that we hired them to do. Right. So we have to do a better job there.
And then again, I have to go off of what I saw, what I experienced. There was no medical care at FPC Pensacola. It was horrible. I mean, there was no doctors. There's no doctor there now. Psychology was a bad thing there. It was lacking in every aspect. So in doing my research, what I have found
You were probably the psychologist there.
Well, listen, I believe on my worst day, I could have done better than what was being offered there.
I know you did a lot of mentoring there.
Yes. I started doing some research, and I'm not quite sure why someone would go to medical school to land at the Bureau of Prisons with what they're being paid. So that tells me that this individual was not at the top of their class, or they'd be practicing in private practice, or they'd be with some big medical firm or what have you. And you're going to get what you pay for.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. Okay. Because there is a part of community service and mission that drives some people, right? Like we'll say, I've referenced my wife several times. She's brilliant, right? She could have done anything in the world. Right. She chose to be a school teacher. Right. And the joke is, in driving 1983 Frigidaire to work and back, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what she chose to do because that's where her heart was and passion. She could have went and made more money, but it wouldn't have meant anything to her. Right. Just like with me in the state police. I could have went in a lot of different places and had opportunities through my career to go make more money, but that's where my heart was. Right. That's where the mission was. That's where my desire was to be. So I do think I don't totally agree with you 100%.
That's fine.
But there are is logic behind what you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, so let me go back on that. I'm witnessing, what I witnessed.
Sure.
I mean, I'm witnessing a psychologist screaming and yelling at an inmate and, belittling them and calling them names. That's not someone who's happy with their job.
No, absolutely not.
So if we're going to say that this is a psychologist and that it's mission driven, that's not mission driven delivery.
I agree with that. Yeah,
so, I'm again only talking about what I know.
Sure.
I just feel like when I look at the salaries of someone who has dedicated their life to going to school and to attain a higher level of education, again, with teachers, in this country, we pay our teachers who we're entrusting with the most valuable thing that we've ever had that God has ever given us.
100%.
We are paying them less than what some people are making cleaning houses.
Correct.
That's a problem. Mm-hmm. But you have that same problem within the Bureau of Prisons.
Sure.
If you want to truly have a wonderful psychologist that's helping these men and women, you can't be paying them. I literally looked this up 2 days ago, and this is going to be a shout out to, Taco Bell. Taco Bell's managers make more than your psychologists do.
Is that right?
That is the truth.
That's a fact. That has been part of government service for a long, long time. We have hired master's level people and offered them salaries that were less than what it cost them to get their master's.
That's what I'm saying.
And so I feel like this administration is going to help me improve that because we've talked about that. That's where my focus is. And we can't really do it with the big, beautiful bill money because it's one-time money. It won't fund things from now on.
Right.
So, but there are a lot of good things with that $3 billion that we can do with training and bringing in different positions and things like that that'll really be an impact for us. So the bigger fix is to fix that pay structure. Government, it's really, really hard to change things in government, right?
I'm fully aware.
But if you can get it changed, it's really, really hard to unchange it.
That's right.
And it's really, really hard for other people to put that much effort into it to get it back.
That's right.
We're going to put that effort into it that it's going to take. It's going to be painful, but we're going to put that effort into it to fix the pay scale, to get it to where, we can't pay our people for what they're worth. Let's just face it. But we can do better. We just can't sit around and think it's going to improve itself. We just hope that they have the mission to heart and all this kind of stuff. Because that, hope's not going to get you nowhere. Hope's not a plan.
No, that's exactly right. And having a heart for mission doesn't pay your mortgage.
It doesn't
pay your car payment.
Yeah.
So
being a state police and a school teacher, we worked our tails off. Didn't make a lot of money. We loved what we were doing, but once again, I can't expect everybody to feel that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The Inspector General has inspected multiple facilities of yours.
And I welcome that, by the way.
Right. And that those reports have come back not favorable.
Correct. Yes.
One of the biggest issues that the Inspector General zoned in on was the use of the shoe. Mm-hmm. What is your stand on the use of the shoe?
Using the shoe, solitary confinement, whatever they want to call it, the hole, whatever they want to call it. So I do think it is an area that's probably overused because I think that's the general nature with corrections. I know that the facilities I've gone to, the shoe is full. Mm-hmm. So now there's a long list of individuals that are in there that justifies them being there. Mm-hmm. So that's something that we're continuing to look at. I do think it's overused. I don't quite have my arms wrapped around what we do here at the Bureau just yet.
Right.
What they might be missing is they still get all the amenities that they're supposed to get minus being around other people, right? So we want to make sure that that's the case. And I don't know that that's the case with us, right? So I want to make sure that they still have the opportunity when the tablets come into play, that'll be an impact as well.
How do you feel about because we've already talked about the decaying infrastructure. Doesn't it make it worse putting someone in a shoe and the temperature's reaching 100 degrees because you've got no air there?
Yeah, there's a lot of issues like that I think that needs to be addressed.
Well, I've seen you address them.
Yes, so, historically we've been underfunded, it would appear. But this new administration is saying they've increased our general budget.
Right.
Big, beautiful bill money as well. I got to make sure that we use that money the right way.
Right.
Funnel to the right areas. So I can say 2-3 years down the road, we improved this, and this. Not just sprinkle that money a little bit everywhere to where it really don't fix anything, but everybody gets a little taste. Mm-hmm. I'm not into
Right.
that. That's not my style.
Are you open to expanding the courses or the classes or the programming
Sure.
for the Bureau of Prisons?
Absolutely. I think any time that you can provide programming, education, I think that's better for everybody, right? I'm a big proponent for education.
Are you open to expanding to film and television, any kind of programs for cameras,
Yes.
camera operators,
Yeah.
audio, things like that?
Yeah. I've actually gone as far as thinking like maybe we could have an inmate ran radio station for the facility.
Podcast. They could have their own podcast.
Yeah, things like that. So if you go to one of our Unicor facilities and prison industries, whatever you want to call it, and the amount of talent these individuals have, they're working with metals and working with wood and so forth. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
You see some of the artists. There's a gentleman at one of the facilities. I can't remember if it's Hazleton. I think it's Hazleton. He makes leather handbags. I mean,
Yep.
You'd be impressed. I mean,
We had
there's a lot of talent.
We had one that worked at DZ, Billy Mack, and he was a welder, and he could make anything, jewelry, whatever. And I mean, this is jewelry that people would, in my circles, would be paying a lot of money for it. And I believe that they need to have that opportunity. If we give them the tools to walk out of there with a plan, then the plan's no longer going to the street.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's what I want to continue to move forward. It's not about, so many people have said that, that I'm attacking the Bureau of Prisons. I don't want it to be that way. I want to work in tandem with
listen,
you.
I'm attacking the Bureau of Prisons in the areas that needs attacked. Right. And so, and I want to make it clear with, as far as the R goes, if you're a violent offender, if you're an MS-13 or something,
Yep.
Your art's not getting out there.
No,
I'm saying that's not what this is about. But the individuals that want to better their lives, that want to do things, for the right reasons, and have that craft when they leave, we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to offer IDs and try to help them with birth certificates and social security cards and the things that they need. Those small hurdles that we don't even like to deal with in everyday life. If we can eliminate some of those small hurdles to get them back on track, meeting with union leaders, out in the trades to say, hey, consider hiring these individuals. You're having a hard time hiring people anyway. You don't have enough workforce. These individuals are trained. They're ready to go. And so, all those types of things go into it.
And, I was there with lots of several developers, real estate developers, and tap into that. If you're saying you've got trouble with infrastructure, you're now dealing with people that are doing, $100 million projects.
Yeah. There's inmates that are running the entire computer operations with their vinyl screening and their, making nameplates for the military and with all their digital art and all. It's all inmates that are doing that. And so they're tapping into that quite a bit. The ones that didn't have maybe the talent coming in, they're getting that there now. And so there's a lot of that's going on. And so we're definitely, I would definitely look into expanding that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a pleasure, and I greatly appreciate you giving me this opportunity to have this interview. I'm never thought I'd be able to say this because, I'm not a proponent for the Bureau of Prisons, but I will say that for those that are still incarcerated, that it is a brighter day in this country with you at the head of it. And I don't have to kiss your ass. I'm free.
Sure.
If I didn't believe that you were going to do what you say you're going to do, I've seen it. I know what you're doing. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful because it helps me sleep better at night, knowing that the men that I left behind, they have a better chance of getting to halfway house. They get a better chance, to go to home confinement. They're going to get better meals. They're going to get better health care. They're going to be treated fairly. The abuse is going to stop. I believe you have the ability to do that. I believe, more importantly, that you have the heart to want to do that. And that's what it's going to take to lead this organization. You have to have someone who has a heart for change.
And I appreciate that. I think I'm on the right track because I've got Nanny Faye in my corner. She's already proud of me. So,
she's proud of you. And she says, now how's that Marshall guy doing? I said, well, he's still alive.
We're just scratching the surface right now, So, but I do appreciate the opportunity to be on, and the thing that you've been is just genuine. You've asked for nothing in return,
No.
and so I know that your heart's in the right place to help the Bureau going forward. And so there's a lot of people like you out there that's come to me that you wouldn't think would have anything to do with the Bureau, right? They didn't really think about the Bureau. They've come to me and said, hey, how can we help? For nothing in return. And so those are the types of areas where if I can draw from those resources, that only helps us be better, right?
That's right.
And so, I've been successful in my life and career, but I've taken a lot of ideas from a lot of other people, right? I mean, I've learned from their mistakes. I've seen what was done that was right, what was done that was wrong. I've heard people say things, I'm like, that's not going to work.
That's right.
And so I've had those experiences. So I'm excited about what we have ahead of us. Like I said, I've been here 4 months, and sometimes I feel like I've been here forever.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like I've been here for 10 minutes, but we're going to get a lot of things done. I'm excited about what we've got ahead of us. I'm excited for the opportunity to build the Bureau with my vision and with the help of others. So.
Well, I thank you very much. I thank our President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I thank all of the individuals here at the Bureau of Prisons that have stepped up and said, we're going to get in line. We're going to follow
There's been a bunch of them.
Director Marshall's directives. And for that, I'm grateful. So good luck and God bless you, brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you, buddy. Thank you.